The game's story starts with Majima about to tell us the story of how he became a captain on a pirate ship.
ほな始めようか。半年前んとこから話すでええな。
He gets washed up on the shore with no memories of who he is or how he got there. A kid that lives on the island saves Majima and takes him back to his father's bar. His father refused to help him and wants Majima out of the place, but Noah, the kid, still wants to help him. Majima then takes over a pirate ship and becomes the captain of it. Noah also wants to travel with Majima, but his father refuses as Noah is very sick. After fighting Noah's father Jason, he agrees to let Noah go on an adventure and also joins Majima's crew. And together with another character called Masaru, they sail across the islands of Hawaii, hoping they can help Majima remember again and find the big treasure of Esperanza that's worth $1 billion. Now, compared to other games, it's a very simple story, but I think it's pretty effective and I don't mind it being more simple. Also, it has a musical number and it's amazing. Now, just like A Man Who Raised His Name, the game returns to the brawler combat system with Majima having two different fighting styles. First one being the Mad Dog style and the other one being the Sea Dog. Mad Dog is a lot more like Majima's old traditional fighting style, while the whole Sea Dog is a completely new one for this game. And damn, both of these are absolutely amazing fighting styles. I always loved Majima's fighting style in Zero, and this game is just no exception. Both are very fast but has a lot of great moves. Both are either great against single enemies or a group of them. Usually in the series when they have other styles, they're better in some situations than others, but here I find both equally great to use no matter what. Both have their own strengths though, and what makes them stand out from each other. Mad Dog is at its best when it comes to taking down singular enemies and dodging attacks, but it also does work well around crowds as the style also has attacks that can damage multiple enemies at once. You do also get a special ability with the Mad Dog style. By filling up the circle bar, you can spawn shadow clones of yourself. It really makes the encounters almost a cakewalk due to how much damage they do, but it's really fun to use. But Sea Dog is a lot better at taking a lot of smaller enemies at once. The sword swings have a lot of good range, being able to damage enemies around Majima. You can also throw them as boomerangs, which also takes a lot of enemies at once. It's so satisfying running towards a group of enemies and just slicing around and seeing all of them just get defeated. But just like Mad Dog, it also works well against a single enemy. It's just in this case, it works better when it's a group of them. But the biggest change to the combat is that Majima can actually jump in the air, either juggling an enemy for extra hits or using one of Sea Dog's extra abilities in the air. It's a very welcome change and makes the combat just feel a lot more alive, but it's also really great for dodging attacks in the air. But despite the great combat, sometimes dodging just doesn't work, and I'm talking from guys who shoots with guns. They always have been annoying in these games, but they are the absolute worst in this one. Several times it feels impossible to dodge a gunshot. You do get this spider sense warning when someone is about to shoot you, but sometimes it won't even activate, so you just take extra damage. It's really the only part of the combat that I don't really like in this game. But Majima also does get some extra abilities that are actually really cool. The first one being a gun which can be shot at enemies on the ground or in the air. It does solid damage and it's really fun to use. But you can also charge you up and do extra damage and shoot multiple enemies at once. It's really fun, I use it a lot. The other ability you get is the hook. You can launch towards an enemy and do extra damage, which is also really helpful. This is also used in the overworld to get to places you otherwise could not reach or to collect bugs. Overall, the combat is fantastic and I'm really happy to say that. This is combat wise my second favorite in the whole series, with Infinite Wealth still being my top one. Now, all this is great. You have a very simple but effective plot and story setup, and you have a great combat. I do think the pacing of the game is not the best. What I mean by this is that there's one chapter that I found really a slog compared to other chapters. Chapter 1 was great, I really loved it, but then came chapter 2, which just felt like a huge slog to me. So there isn't really that much story progress in chapter 2, and it was instead spent a lot on side activities that you're forced to do, and man, it's just so annoying. I know many of the games in the series have this issue and it's nothing new, but this might be one of the worst cases of it. I just hate how so many side activities were forced into the main story, when there are, side activities. Like the friend app, a whole extra story on some dickhead pirates who killed the dad of this girl, having to recruit 5 extra members to the ship to progress the story, which also means you have to do extra side quests. And also in the main story, you have to get your money to make your ship bigger. It just takes a while, man. Like, it felt really bloated and not properly paced out. I mean, to be fair, it's not like the activities themselves are bad, but again, the way they're forced into the main story made me want to do them less. So chapter 2 was a slog, but after that it was great again, all the way to the end of the game. But in terms of characters, I think the game did a great job. Noah is definitely the new star of the game, however. I did not expect to like him so much, but he was super charming. Despite his sickness, he wants to go out and see the world. Both him and Majima have such a great dynamic, walking in Hawaii having conversation about anything, just like Ichiban had with his friend group. Even the drinking link game returns, now the main focus being with Noah to create an even stronger bond. And his pet tiger Goro is pretty cute too.
いい名前でしょ
I also really like Jason, being this washed up treasure hunter who doesn't want to let Noah go on an adventure due to his sickness, being scared that if he doesn't have his medicine, he could die out there. He has shot himself and his 2 kids on this island due to an accident with his ship, leading it to get destroyed and killing 2 of his men. But Majima managed to convince him and both Noah and Jason join him. What can I say? I have a big soft spot for overprotective parents who just wants the best for their kids. Shigaki was pretty cool and I really liked Rodriguez. Rodriguez being the new current leader of the remaining Palacanas after Bryce got jailed. I found him a very interesting character, having a dad that knew of the location of the treasure, but instead of taking it, he started a family there at the Palacanas. So Rodriguez wants to find it too, not only because of the money, but to make his father proud, despite his dad suffering from amnesia and very old age. Very cool character. My new favorite character in the game, however, was Masaru, this chef bodyguard who worked for another captain, but seeing the captain want to hurt a kid, Masaru wanted to leave him and join Majima instead.
Oh, fuck.
He is a super fun character. I love his interactions with the others. He also has the absolute best side quests related to him. The side quests in this game are honestly not that amazing. Now don't get me wrong, there were some I really liked, but the one with Masaru was definitely the best one. Masaru has been dreaming of getting a chance to meet up with a bunch of girls and get one as a girlfriend. Majima finds all these 5 girls and learns their personalities and taste, and has them together at a hotel to hopefully help Masaru. And at first, it seems to work. Masaru and the girls have a great time, he has a really good charm, but when he gets a chance to be with them individually, things go very sour. When he's about to choose the one he wants to be with, they all leave before he can pick one. Masaru wasn't trying to be malicious or anything, he was just really nervous. In the end, he does apologize to the girls for his behavior, and the girls luckily accept it. And they also want to join Majima's crew as well. But Masaru does actually find the one in the end. I really like this quest mostly because of the live action footage they used with him and the girls. It really made it stand out, and the girls were really fun characters too. This might actually be one of my favorite side quests in the entire series. But we also got some returning characters that really surprised me, like Nishida and Minami. I love both of these guys and seeing them back was so cool. We haven't seen either of them since their first appearances, but here we get more scenes and dialogue with them. They both even get the drink league with Majima and it was just so great. This is the type of fan service I really love. And of course our favorite bear beating guy Sajima is here, and he's great as always. I also especially love his drinking with Majima. Their conversation was just really fun to listen to. When it comes to Antagonists, I thought the game did a pretty good job. I found the queen to be pretty cool. Her design does remind me of Kogika though from Pokemon Legends. Raymond Law was the main antagonist of the game though, and I found him a pretty good one. He was intimidating, calculative, but also very fun to watch. He's the type of villain that knows what he's doing is bad, but he does not care. He also has the coolest villain death in the entire series. Overall, a very solid villain. But we also got our Kusei for this game, being Keith. And what I mean by that is that you fight this guy 6 times in a game. I think honestly, he's a pretty lame antagonist. Keith is just some lame, washed up dickhead pirate who just can't accept defeat. Keith doesn't get any more interesting or threatening, he just stays a fucking chud for the entire game. The ship battles are one of the biggest parts of the game, and at first I was not really into it. I thought the actual battles were far too easy, even for the professional difficulty, and only a few times did you actually go aboard the ship to attack the enemies. But as I got to the arena battles in Atlantis, I realized this was going to be a lot harder. It went from being too easy to being too hard. Your ship does have different ways to attack the enemies in battle. We got the fast shooting cannons in the back and the much slower but stronger cannons on the side. At first I just had the standard cannons that you start out with, but eventually I upgraded to the laser ones, which were far better. And the cannons on the back would shoot way faster and even freeze enemies, which was super helpful. You can also shoot with a rocket launcher, which is a fun idea, but it's usually not worth doing so, as you have to stop the ship, and doing so will lead to enemies attacking you and even destroy your ship. And also you have to keep in mind with your crew members can get knocked down in battle, so you have to walk to them and tell them to get the fuck up. Oh, and enemies can also make your boat be on fire or freeze too, and it's the most annoying thing ever. I did definitely like when the battles got more challenging, but at some point they got a bit too ridiculously challenging. But there were still some fun ones. I really liked the battle with the Queen's ship, and I really liked fighting the octopus. But otherwise, the ship battles were either too easy or just too hard. And by the end, I kinda was a bit tired of them, to be honest. Hugo Cannon Cruise, this ain't. Now, back in when I talked about chapter 2 and its poor pacing, I mentioned there was like a bigger side quest that was around there. And I do think in this game it's a decent side quest. This one is revolving around the devil flags. Essentially, these are like evil pirates who are like really bad. They end up killing this guy who used to be a very good friend of Jason. The guy's daughter wants to take revenge, but Marjma wants to help her. So he and the others have to beat the captains of the evil pirates and get revenge for what they did. Defeat the first boss, then the next boss, and rinse and repeat and blah blah blah. I must say the last fight playing the power of Gower pirates was really sick though. Overall it was a fun side quest, but my favorite part doing this quest is unlocking the different cursed instruments. Defeating a captain grants Marjma a new cursed weapon that will summon a dangerous animal to take out multiple enemies in fights, like a big monkey, a bunch of sharks, a big parrot, and jellyfish. I love summoning these beasts and seeing the terror they can cause. My favorite one being the big monkey. I just love seeing it beating the absolute shit out of everyone. It's really fun to use. There is also some other side content to do, both new and returning. For the new ones, you can fight criminals that have been wanted by the police to earn a good amount of money. The harder they are, the more you get for beating them. It's pretty fun to fight this basically like extra bosses, but I do enjoy it. There's also this new batting game added in Atlantis where you have to destroy these barrels, and man, it's actually really fun. I always hated the batting minigame in the series, but this time it's actually much more satisfying and just a lot more enjoyable. Call me surprised, this was actually a really fun minigame. There's also this minigame revolving around cooking. You can cook several dishes that can be used as healing items. The minigame is fun, but I also did forget it was a thing after the tutorial, so whoops. For the returning side content, we got Sicko Snap, and if you watched my Infinite Wealth video, you know I don't like this mode so much. It's just really boring to me, it's just not interesting at all. But thankfully, Super Crazy Delivery returns, and it's as fun as ever. One of the best minigames in the series, and I will never get tired of this. Another part of the game that I won't get tired of is the soundtrack. It's really good as usual. The long battle tracks especially are great in this game and ups the tension a lot. Wildfire is an amazing rendition of Sargeman's theme. Dare I say, it might actually be the best version of his track. But the track that took me by surprise was when you were invading all the islands for treasure, and the tracks there just sounds really fantastic. Nature Pulse and Volcanic are some of the best tracks in the game for me. The soundtrack absolutely delivered, and I would say the same thing for the game as a whole. Sure, I might have some issues with it here and there, but I really did have a great time with it. I really hope we get another Gaiden game like this in the future, but maybe next time with someone like Sargeman as the main protagonist, or hell, why not Akiyama? He's not been a major character since Yakuza 6, and the last time he was playable was in 5. It would have been great to have him in the spotlight again. With that being said, I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.